Hi, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are currently live. So, welcome, and we love being here for you with quality and value to inspire and to transform. Remember, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and iTunes. Today, as usual, we have a special guest to share with you for your development and growth and to live your better informed life. So, grab a cup, pull up a seat, and stay tuned for the introduction right here, now, live in the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned. Introducing Raj Subrameyer. He is an international keynote speaker, an author, and a tech career strategist. He says, I have helped numerous other people discover their zone of genius, find their dream job, launch their businesses, and become successful leaders. This is the man of the moment. His book, Skyrocket Your Career, is the 2021 Silver Medal winner. Here is his publication, and this is his award. He also says, I have spent the past 8 out of my 15 years in tech helping others understand that people are not born as toxic leaders, but that our environments shape who we are. So, if you're looking for motivation, 3 things, and you're looking to discover yourself by competing with you, let's introduce and welcome our guest for today, the man of the moment, Raj Subrameyer. Indeed, and we are very pleased and happy to welcome our special guest on this live episode of the Breakout Room on Andy's Personal Development, the Love Bits A channel, Raj Subrameyer. Raj, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing good, and I should say I love the intro and I love the music. You need to send me the soundtrack. Is that the
Oh,
Caribbean music?
no, it's from the East, man.
It is. Oh, I see. Okay. I love
East and Oriental. I'll send that for you, definitely. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show, Raj. When I was thinking about the introduction, I thought about something that would be sort of akin to, your past, and that's why I look back in the East to see what I can come up with. So that's how we got there. So
Nice.
basically, what we want to do is share some of the most fascinating moments of your life because there are a whole lot of things that I see there that are very inspirational and full of value to people who need that kind of inspiration in life today. So, I want to begin by asking you, can you recall any of your childhood memories growing up? If there's one or two that stands out that you can remember, what would it be, Raj?
I think that's a great starting point because the things which happened in my childhood shaped me the way I am today. So I
Right.
grew up in the southern part of India, and
Uh-huh.
from a place called Chennai, which is one of the 5 major cities.
Chennai Super Kings, right?
Exactly, yeah, Chennai Super Kings. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, cricket is uh, not a sport, but a religion in India. But
Yes.
so my dad was super smart since he was born. He studied in scholarship, and then my brother is a genius. My elder brother, he's 5 years older to me. And
Okay.
he has 3 masters and a PhD. And there was the average kid who didn't do well in anything. You name it: sports, dating, academics. I was average in everything. So I constantly kept comparing myself with other people, and I wanted to live up to their expectations. But
Yeah.
every time I tried to do that, I couldn't
Hmm.
live up to their expectations because I realized it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
these constant experiences made me feel like an outcast. I became a shy, introverted kid. I was super reserved, and this kind of continued throughout my childhood until the age of 19. And then I had a trigger event.
Yeah.
I still remember the moment vividly, and this one pretty much changed my life. So I was in my study room, and all of a sudden, my chest
Uh-huh.
started hurting, and the pain was increasing minute by minute.
Wow.
I could feel the tears coming out of my eyes, and then for 2 hours, I was just crying profusely because all these feelings of being suppressed, being questioned for doing things differently, being judged by other people around me, all these
Mm-hmm.
feelings which had bottled up
Mm-hmm.
inside me,
Mm-hmm.
it just blew up. And I started thinking about, why do I feel this way? Because I
Yeah.
came to a realization that all this while I was living a life based on other people's opinions. I was letting
Right.
other people's opinions be my reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I decided, you know what? Screw society, screw people. I know that I have my own skills and talents. I'm gonna figure out what that purpose is, what my passion is, and I'm gonna carve my own identity. I
Right.
literally took a paper and pen, wrote down all my fears, and then at the age of 19, whatever I thought were the strategies to overcome those fears, I put that on the side of all those fears,
Yeah.
and the rest is history. For the past 20 years, I've been on the journey to conquer my fears, face them head on, and try to figure out different opportunities in life. And that was the trigger event, which I can never forget because it shaped the way I think, and it's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
Okay, great. That was a really inspirational opening there, Raj. We thank you so much for sharing. I just want to share a couple of your quotes with you, or quotations. In part, that is because I find them so very amazing. You said, comparing myself to others saved my life. Could you
Mm.
just elaborate on that a bit for us, please?
I think that's a great topic to talk about because this is a thing. Currently we live in this digital age,
Yeah.
and everyone compares themselves with other people. For example, they compare themselves with all these social media influencers on Instagram. These social media influencers have millions of followers. They take pictures in front of their Ferrari, their big bungalow, the big mansion,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we all want to be like that person,
Hmm.
but we
Yeah.
don't know the inside story, whether that person is $2 million in debt, and
That's right.
he or she is trying to have this persona, or it took them 20 years to get to where they are today,
Right.
right?
Right.
We don't know those things, but what we do is we try to compare ourselves with another person. And if you're not able to achieve that level of success, we label ourselves as failures. And what happens is, as a byproduct of that, we get into depression, anxiety, stress, and there's a lot of suicide rates, especially
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
COVID.
Hmm.
For me personally, I used to compare myself with other people, right? And that's what I was talking about in my story.
Yes.
But the problem was, I was looking at comparison through a different lens, just like other people from a negative standpoint.
Yeah.
I asked this question: what if I use comparison to fuel my growth? So say
Mm-hmm.
for example, you want to become like this YouTube influencer. Say there's this person named Smith who's 1 billion viewers, subscribers in his YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say you want to become like that person, you're going to figure out, okay, what are the different things he is doing which you're not
Yes.
doing,
Yeah.
and you're going to learn a lot of things. And say in 3 years, instead of 1 billion subscribers, you have 10 million subscribers. You you, you cannot consider yourself as a failure, because although you haven't reached 1 billion subscribers, just in reaching the 10 million subscribers, you've learned so much about you. You've learned how to create
Exactly.
videos,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know how to do marketing, you know
Yeah.
how to do communication, you know how to start speaking, right? So you have to think about the journey. So life is about the journey, not the destination, right? And
Yes.
so I gave a TED talk on
Uh
this,
huh.
how comparison saved my life, because if I hadn't had these different people who I was looking up to be
Yeah.
like them, I would have
Uh huh.
never reached this level of success, right? And
Okay.
the journey, which is going to help you learn different things, it's not the final results. For example, when I gave the TED talk,
Mm-hmm.
for 1 to 2 days, I was on a high. But then you immediately think about what's next. That's how results
Yes.
are. But the journey
Yes.
becoming the TED speaker made me who I am today because it took me 4 years of learning to get to that level.
Okay. Interesting story, Raj. I just want to do a little bit of a timeline with you.
Hmm.
And I'm going to start with 2009. You said that you applied for over 1,293 jobs in
Right.
2009 alone just to get one. How
Yeah.
was that experience, man? And what were all these positions you applying for?
That's also a great topic because this brings me back to the point, which is not a lot of people realize what immigrants have to go through when they come to a foreign land. So
Right.
I am an Indian
Uh huh.
who came to United States to do my master's to live this American dream. And I
Right.
still remember this moment vividly. I came in on August 31st, 2008, and then on September 7th, 2008, the recession started. Lehman
Oh.
Brothers, which a lot of you young viewers or listeners may not know, it was one of
Uh
the
huh.
biggest financial firms in the world based in the US, and it became bankrupt overnight. And
Right.
getting jobs were really hard, and especially for immigrants, because in the United States, and it's probably the same case even in other foreign countries where you need a work permit
That's right.
sponsored by an employer so
Yeah.
that you can work. But the
Yeah.
problem was during the recession, no one had money and no one was ready to sponsor us. So
Wow.
I was left with two choices.
Mm-hmm.
One was to go back to where I came from,
Uh
with
huh.
half of my international students who had come with me to join the master's program and then get their
Right.
master's. Or the second option was do whatever it takes and try to get a job because I had student loans, I had a lot of things which depended on me getting a job. So that's why from the beginning of 2009 till the end of 2009, I applied for 1,293 jobs because
Wow.
getting jobs were really hard. But to
Wow.
be frank with you, for the first 600 to 700 jobs, I had no clue on what I was doing. That was the bad part. But then I started figuring out different patterns in terms of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
people need. And yeah, I got 4 callbacks and I converted one job out of it. And that was not a full-time job. It was an internship. But then I
Okay.
worked my ass off for 6 months to let people know I could do the job and the rest is history. So the moral of the story of how and why I did that was one was I came here with a goal and there was a huge obstacle, but I was ready to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
The second thing is it's all depends upon how you shift your mindset from a place of
Right.
scarcity to abundance.
Right.
What I mean by that is if you feel that, you know what, I'm gonna figure out a way, I'm gonna figure out a way and doing the positive self-talk, you
Yeah.
start acting like a person who can attract success. And that's what I
Okay.
did. And the third thing finally was being consistent and do the work. Because a lot of people say, I want this $1 million and stuff, but
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
ready to do the work and show up. For me, I
Okay.
showed up every single day, and that actually really helped. But I'm not telling people that you have to apply for 1,000 plus jobs. And that's why now I do what I do. To let
Yes.
people know you don't have to do that. There's a lot of strategies to do that. But the point is, it was all about that immigrant's mindset to do whatever it takes to succeed in life.
Great. That sounds like a tremendous journey. I like the fact that you have learned from the experiences, the things that you have gone through, and they have somehow created a better standard of life for you because of those lessons learned. You said in 2011 you spent 3,000 of your own money to go to a conference just so that you can face your fear of rejection and public speaking. When you first decided to do public speaking and you realized that you had the level of confidence that was so low, you rejected the idea of people fearing you or rejecting you rather, or fearing that you would say the things that you didn't need to say. Yeah. How was that feeling inside of you? And when did you realize eventually, you know what? I can overcome this. I can do better. I can respond to the thing that I believe I was prepared to do and will fulfill me the most. How was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, coming back to my story,
Yeah.
from when I had the trigger event at the age of 19. Remember, I
Yeah.
said I wrote down all my fears, and one
Mm-hmm.
of the fears was fear of public speaking, and it
Right.
haunted me till 2010,
Hmm.
where even just talking to two people would feel like I'm gonna get a nervous breakdown. I was that type of
Wow.
I had that type of fear,
Yeah.
and in 2011, what happened was I got this email saying there's this huge software conference in Seattle, in Washington. You should come and join us. Usually, I'll just immediately click on delete and then move
Uh-huh.
on with my life, right? But this time around, I
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
looking at the email.
Right.
It looked as if it felt as if the email was talking to me, because here I was telling myself that I'm going to conquer my fears, but I was always trying not to face this fear of speaking. And I
Ah.
thought, you know what? Once in 2 days, I always have this issue of speaking to people, and it haunts me. And I really need to figure this shit out. So what I did was I said, you know what? I'm going to go to this conference. I had fear of being judged as well. But the point
Yeah.
is, in Seattle, Washington, no one would know me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to this conference, and my company was not ready to sponsor me. So I
Mm-hmm.
spent $3,000 of through my own credit card, of my own money to go to the conference,
Wow.
even though I didn't have that much money. And
Yeah.
that was one of the best decisions I made, because this is what happened. So I went to
Yes.
the conference, then started seeing all these speakers giving good talks and bad talks. And frankly, seeing some bad speakers really gave me motivation, because that's when I had this eureka moment,
Yes.
thinking, what better way than actually becoming a speaker to get rid of my public speaking? Because
Right.
it's like not all speakers are perfect, and I could do this. So
Yes.
to cut a long story short, what I did was I started networking with all of the speakers at the conference, and took notes of what they're doing,
Yeah.
how they became speakers, how they write proposals, how they come up with talks, etc. And then in 2012, I started speaking in small meetup groups.
Yeah.
2013, after 7 months and 23 trial runs, I gave
Right.
my first conference talk, and it was a huge hit. People started talking about this funny Indian dude who's super motivational and has great content. You should check him out. And the rest is history. Fast forwarding to 2022, I've spoken at 100 plus conferences, done 20 plus keynotes. I've done 2 TED talks, and the moral of the story here is there's a beauty in getting uncomfortable to
Yeah.
become comfortable. So if you
Okay.
really want to make a change, you have to take this small step towards the change, and you can have a strategy to make the change. Anything is possible if you believe that you can make that change. And that's how I overcame my fear of public speaking. That's why it's funny, whenever I give talks, people
Yeah.
come to me and say, how come you're so articulate? How come you're so in flow in talking? How can I become like you? I tell them that it takes about 15 to 20 years of
Yeah.
practice to become
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah.
So that's the whole story behind how that decision actually really changed my life.
Yeah. Fantastic story. Inspirational. Thanks for sharing. I want to ask you a question, Raj. I'm very enlightened by the fact that you have so many nuggets. You usually bring them in trees. But if you had to say something to people who were now currently in a similar position in terms of how they should approach the challenges that they face with regards to that fear of public speaking and that fear of just being themselves, what advice would you give to them that you think would make a difference to them?
Yeah, it's another great question. So first thing first is start simple and
Mm-hmm.
start small. So what I
Yeah.
mean by that is take a paper and pen and write
Uh-huh.
down all the fears which has been an obstacle for your growth.
Okay.
It could be fear of
Okay.
public speaking, fear of being judged, fear of failure, uh, you know, and then any fear which you're facing, list down all those fears, and then figure out when do you get those fears, right? Start doing some introspection in the
Okay.
sense when you have those fears. And once you realize, okay, what are the different triggers? Then, so first thing is identifying the fears. Second thing is then come up with a strategy. So prioritize which fear you want to tackle first. You cannot
Right.
have 10 fears and then tackle everything at the same time. So you prioritize which one you want to tackle first. And
Yes.
once you pick the top three fears, then come up with a strategy. Okay, so fear of public speaking. So how am I going to start getting rid of this fear, which I've had
Yeah.
all my life?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
the strategies may include, okay, maybe I join a Toastmasters Academy
Mm-hmm.
to become a better speaker, or start attending meetup groups and then start sharing ideas there,
Right.
or start doing LinkedIn lives or Instagram lives, like 1 minute, or TikTok videos to
Yeah.
get rid of this fear, whatever that looks like for you.
Uh-huh.
Write down the strategies, then come up with a plan on how you're going to implement those strategies. Okay, I'm going to do one video a day, or I'm going to join Toastmasters and then go for one session per week. You have to get into that granular level and then
Yes.
start doing stuff. The
Sounds
problem
good.
is people are in analysis and are in the analysis paralysis stage
Yeah.
where they don't know what to do. That's the main reason for that, is they don't visualize
Mm-hmm.
what they exactly want to do. Once you break it down into what are the fears, what are my top three fears, what are the strategies to overcome those fears, what are the action plan which I'm going to come up with to implement that strategy and execute
Yeah.
them, that's when the real change happens. So that's what I did, and that's what I help my clients do as well. And that would be my advice for everyone listening or viewing.
All right, great. I just want to continue in that vein a little bit, Raj. You said that you help tech folks land their dream jobs and become successful leaders.
Hmm.
The thing that I want to know is it just exclusively for tech people, or is it something that's holistic that you can, share with people who are in other areas or other industries but are struggling with their careers?
Yeah. So the two personas of people I help. One of them, if the first one is, I help mid to senior level folks who are
Uh-huh.
already in tech, who
Right.
feel they can impact the world, but they feel stuck in their
Mm-hmm.
careers. They don't know what
Mm-hmm.
their next plan is, what to do next,
Yeah.
or they're already leaders and they want to become effective leaders. So that's about 70% of my clients.
Right.
Their second persona of people are people who want to get into the tech space and
Yeah.
figure out what jobs they'll be good at.
Okay.
You'll be surprised at how things you learn
Uh-huh.
in a non-tech space can be applied to tech as well. And a living example is my own wife, right? She was in sales, right? And then once we started dating, I said, honey, you have a knack for learning stuff quickly. You have an
Mm-hmm.
attention to detail. You should
Right.
try out you, getting into tech. To cut a long
Okay.
story short, 10, 11 years down the line, she's an IT consultant. So what I'm trying to say here is,
Right.
just
Right.
because you're non-tech and don't know technical stuff doesn't mean you cannot get into tech. So the rest 30% of people are those kind of people I help out. So and the strategies which I teach, it's not really tech specific. Even my book, it's not
Yeah.
tech specific. It's about how to face interviews, how to prep for them, how to be successful at your job, how to set yourself miles from the competition, and
Yeah. Yeah.
those strategies apply for non-tech and tech space as well. But coming back to your question, so those are the people I work with in tech, and mainly engineering focus.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people I help out.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Raj. You're about halfway in the podcast on this episode, and we are talking about the successes and the struggles and the life of Raj Subrameyer. I'm just going to ask him one more question before we go for an ad break, and it's concerning the book that he just alluded to. What was the inspiration, Raj, behind you writing that book? And how did you feel when it was successful enough for you to achieve an award?
Funny story is I never meant to write the book. My actual book was going to be my memoir about an immigrant in a foreign land, and I
Okay.
wanted to write that book. But
Mm-hmm.
then COVID hit, and
Yeah.
what happened was a lot of people got laid off in tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in March, since March 2020,
Mm-hmm.
people started pinging me on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I got laid off. Please help me. Please help me." And
Right.
I started helping people for free because I wanted to help them. And
Yes.
I ended up helping 35 to 40 people, and a majority of them found some sort of success in getting
Hmm.
new jobs or getting promoted,
Yeah.
even when COVID hit. That's when I started
Excellent.
realizing that, huh, seems like a lot of people are positively impacted by the strategies I teach. What
Hmm.
if I could impact people in a larger medium?
Yeah.
That's when
Yeah.
I realized, okay, probably I should write a book. And it was hard because at that time I was taking care of my 5-month-old kid
Hmm.
9 to 5, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. because my
Wow.
wife had a regular 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
And I was taking a course. There's a lot of stuff, but then there's never a right time to start anything because the right time
Right.
is right now. And
Yes.
that's how it is with life. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna write every evening from 8:30 to 10 p.m. And I finished writing the book in 34 days. And and then it took me November to release it because people didn't tell me that writing is one thing, but then editing, proofreading, getting all that stuff, that is a
It's a
whole
process.
whole
It's a
different
process.
demon
Yeah.
monster. But the
Yeah.
point was, that was the idea behind the book. It was just to help people in their careers, and I wanted to give a wholesome book which covers all aspects of your job, from starting to figure out what your ideal career options are.
Yeah.
Then how
Yeah.
do you prepare for interviews? How do you ace those interviews? How do you negotiate your salary? Once you get your job, how do you be successful in it? And once you're successful in your job, how do you set yourself miles apart from your competition? So I covered the
Right.
entire job life cycle, and it's only 99 pages, right? So
Okay.
I give
Okay.
you actual strategies to do that. But that's pretty much the book and the story behind why I wrote it as well.
Wow. Such inspiration. Thanks for sharing, Raj. So we are live here in the breakout room on Andy's personal development, and we're going to go for a quick break and come back with more inspirational nuggets and value from the man Raj Subrameyer. So stand by, folks. Okay, we are live back in the breakout room with Raj Subrameyer, our special guest on this episode. And we are talking about his life, his struggles, his inspiration, and the values that he would have learned along the way as he has achieved such levels and measures of success. Raj, continue with our conversation. Could you tell us what kind of impact that your success and your life lessons have had on the people that are close to you, those that are familiar with you? What are some of the things that they see in your life that they are truly impressed about?
So I believe a lot of people view me as a normal person,
Mm-hmm.
gone through so many struggles. The
Okay.
problem with a lot of influencers and a lot of coaches or a lot of business people or leaders you see in media is they always talk about their success stories. No one talks about the failures and the struggles. And I
Yes.
think that's what makes me different, because I openly share all my struggles, how I struggle with anxiety, stress, depression, how do I manage it with fitness, how do I manage my life, what are the struggles I go through, and all those things. Like, it's real to people, because then they find me as a real person going through similar kind of problems as them. And that's what makes people come to me, because I show them I'm human, I'm not perfect, but I try different things to get to where I want to be. And that inspires people, because if you notice, a lot of people have similar kind of struggles. Like, they are anxious, they feel not fulfilled in their careers or
Yeah.
personal life. They feel that that yeah, it's really hard for them to change, and I've gone through the exact same experiences. So
Yeah. Yeah.
people find that quality of mine, the openness and transparency,
Yeah.
really good, and that is one of the reasons people come to me, and that's how I build trust, credibility, by being vulnerable. And showing vulnerability is something people need to think about, because that's when you can establish trust and credibility, and that's when you can show people that you've gone through similar kind of journeys that those folks are going through, and you're there to help. And that's when you can attract people, and then also be of service to them. So I think transparency, openness is two big key things which people feel that I'm good at. And also, I have this knack of motivating people, because I was an underdog throughout my life. When I say underdog, I was a person who no one believed could make it. I was the person who people ignored constantly. I was the person who people thought, you know what, he's never going to be successful in life. But then I became this person, right? So if I, an average person, can make a change, then anyone else in the world can do it. And that's why I help the underdogs mainly to believe in themselves and give them the strategies to make that positive change in their personal lives and careers as well. One important thing which Andy brought up, which made me think about this, is the power of delayed gratification. As I was saying, we live in this digital age where we always want results immediately. We try something, then immediately we want to have results. So, for example, you go to the gym, then immediately within a week you want a six pack ab, right? This just a random example, but the point is, no one believes in being consistent and actually doing the work, because that's what separates people who want to be legends. That's what separates people who want to be legends to people who actually become legends, right? So that's why you really need to believe in the power of delayed gratification, where you do the work, be consistent, and that's when you can see results. So another thing to think about is, how do you want to build your personal brand? Because your personal brand is the single most important thing which can really help you grow. So when I talk about personal brand, let's just dumb it down a little bit, right? Say, for example, you're buying your favorite brand of body wash. It's not just because of the color, it's not just because of the fragrance, it's not just because of the durability, it's not just because of the pricing, it's not just because the shape of the bottle, but it's about all these facets of the body wash which is making you go to it again and again. And our personal brand is the exact same way. It's not just because you have a degree. It's not just because you're a speaker. It's not just because you're a writer. But and it's not just because of about your experience. But it's about all these things which are bottled up into one package, which helps to build your personal brand. And I think that's the single most important thing, which is really going to help you stand out from the crowd. So if you ask me, if there was one advice uh, you wanted to take away from this entire conversation, it would be Then building their personal brand, start taking extra courses so that you can retool your skill set, learn new things, start attending conferences, meetup groups, so that you can start building your network. Then use LinkedIn, be active on LinkedIn, start posting, start sharing resources, start commenting on other people's posts, start connecting with people on LinkedIn, right? And also make sure your LinkedIn profile is updated, especially if you're in the tech space. LinkedIn is where all the tech folks hang out because every word you put on LinkedIn is rich SEO information and is indexed by Google. When I say SEO, it's search engine optimization information. Because this is the thing, folks. When recruiters look for people, what they do is they put in these keywords in their AI-based software, which they use to screen candidates. And when, say, for example, you're looking for software, excuse me, you're looking for a software developer job, say, for example, they may put keywords like programming, collaboration, communication, then some name of programming languages. And what the software does is it starts combing through your LinkedIn profile. And if you have those keywords, then you are going to show up in their results, right? And so that's what you really need to do, because when you have those keywords, you are going to show up in the search results, and that's the way you get noticed, and that's how you start building your personal brand as well. So I think Andy joined back. So Andy, while you were joining, I talked about personal branding, then I talked about mindset, I talked about power of delayed gratification, but it's good that you joined back as well.
Yeah, I hope the ISP people behave themselves. Sorry about that interruption, folks. But we're gonna do our editing, and I know that Raj has kept the faith going and the spirits alive with his innovation and the topics that he would have shared. I'm sure they would have been inspiring. Thank you so much, Raj.
Sure, no worries.
High fives.
uh, Things happen, man. We live in the COVID era. Okay, tech issues always happen, so you just have
Yeah,
to deal with them.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm here for a reason to offer value. So
I
even
see
when you
that.
weren't there, I just kept going.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Sounds good. Listen, this one is probably a little bit surprising, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. I think I know the answer. The question is: are you satisfied with the progress that you have made in life? And if not, are there other areas, boundaries that you think you need to overcome, and probably new worlds that you need to discover?
Oh, 100%. I still have a lot of things I want to do in life. So, for example, yes, I did a couple of TED Talks, but I still want to influence and impact people on a larger scale. I want to talk in an arena filled with 10,000 people, and I want to
Yes.
motivate and inspire them. And that
Right.
still hasn't happened, and still it's a journey, and I
Uh-huh.
have to do a lot of things. That is something I want to do, and I'm trying to put an effort to get there. It's a pretty competitive space, and yeah, it's just about doing that. Another thing I want to do is have an audiobook version of my paperback and ebook version
Yeah.
of the book,
Yeah.
which is a lot of people have been asking me for it, because we live in this age where people do not have time to read books, and they listen to like podcasts and listen to
Mm-hmm.
audio. So
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to do audiobook, and then I'm working on my online course as we
Yeah.
speak, and it's going to be launched pretty soon. So yeah,
Okay.
still constantly thinking about how to make an impact, how to make an impact, because my mission in life is to help people have positive personal life and career transformations. And I'm constantly thinking about what are the different ways to do that. And
Yes.
the things I just mentioned are some of the different next steps for me to impact the world in a bigger way.
Uh-huh.
And life is like that. That's what I'm telling you, right? It's all
Yeah.
about the journey. You can get the results, and then you enjoy it for 2 days, and then you think about, okay, what's next, what's next. And that's the fun part of life, which is you get to think about, okay, what do you want to do next, and you think about your new journey, and what your goals are, and that's what keeps me motivated and keeps me going.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing. Sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Raj, what is your ideal or ultimate version of the world? I know that things are a bit really probably uninspirational right now with so much happening, the COVID, the war in Ukraine,
Right.
uh, the many areas of life where we see people are struggling with food, lack of education, lack of equality in terms of jobs, sorry, and even in terms of gender equality, racial disharmony. But what is your ideal picture, your ideal version or vision of the world? If you had the opportunity to paint a picture, what would it be for you?
I foresee a future where people treat other people as humans,
Mm-hmm.
instead of objects, instead of something different.
Yeah.
And it's about sharing and caring, where if there's a person in need, you should think twice in helping that person. And if everyone starts thinking like that, irrespective of their race, sex, culture, religion, I think the world will be a really better place. There's always going to be problems. Now we had COVID. Before that, we had recession. Before that, we had SARS virus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is a bitch, and you
Hmm.
cannot help it. But
Yeah.
irrespective of what happens, you can view the world from a caring and sharing standpoint, and then help people around you. Because how much money is enough money, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
believe if everyone thinks about providing and helping people, if they're in that mindset, they're going to attract more things towards them. There's this amazing book by
Uh
Adam
huh.
Grant. He's a uh, he's an organizational psychologist. It's
Right.
called give and take. And through research and studies, he talks about how people have given a lot, have actually got back more from
Yes.
monetary
Yes.
standpoint, from
Yes.
a life fulfillment standpoint. So
Yeah.
I foresee a future where people do acts of service and try to help each other out, instead of uh, thinking that they should, you know, uh, be ahead of other people. Because irrespective of what you do, there's always going to be people above you and people below you in terms
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
whatever factors you want to
Yeah.
consider.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if you have that mindset, a lot of problems could be solved. And yeah, I think it's an ongoing process, and to get the mindset shift is really hard. And people like you and me should keep talking about it, and then educating people, and then helping people shift their world view, and that's how positive change starts.
Yeah. Sounds good. It sounds as if we have our work cut out ahead of us. It's gonna be challenging, but I hear you. I like it. I'm gonna play something for you, and I want to see your reaction, and I want to hear your response because it inspired me a lot personally. So here we go.
As many of you know, I do different experimentations with my mind and body in the past 5 6 years. That's what I've been doing, because I want to show who's boss from time to time, because your body gets used to a certain kind of thing, and then it starts taking control of you. But you need to shock the body and reverse that process and let your mind and body know who's in control. So that's why I'm going to do a 5 day fast where I'm going to drink only water. In fact, I'm not even going to have coffee for the first time in 20 years for the next 5 days. So let's see how it goes. I'm doing this mainly to get more mental focus, clarity, and optimize my body function apart from just the medical benefits. So I'll update everyone how things go. And this is the reason why I do things, because you have to be motivated. I don't know how I'm going to achieve it, but I will achieve it. Stay inspired.
Yeah.
I should give it to you, Andy. You do a lot of research on your guests, so that's awesome. Yeah.
We need to, man. We need to. We got to highlight the things that really motivate you guys and bring it to the point where you inspire people to transform. What was the whole idea behind that, though? Because I found it so inspiring.
I think, at least for me, experimentation is the key.
Yeah.
And we constantly get used to something, and then we start letting it define who we are. It could be whatever it could be. It could be your food habits.
Mm-hmm.
It could be your drinking habits.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
could be the way you do your work, whatever that may be. But when once you get used to something, then your mind gets used to it, and then you feel stuck. So that's why
Yeah.
you have to shock your system by
Mm-hmm.
doing experimentations. And when you do experimentations, then you let your, as I was saying in the video, you let your mind know who's boss, because you should be the boss of your mind. The mind should be your slave,
Yeah.
and that's how it should be. And also, when you do experimentation, you discover a lot about yourself from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint. So some of the experiments, apart from the 5 day fasting, and then I'll talk about the 5 day fasting quickly.
Yeah.
I've done 75 days of no alcohol and no sweets. Then I've done 100 push-ups every day for 2 months. And
Okay.
then in 6 months, I lost 50 pounds in
Mm.
2016. And then for 4 months, I read 30 books and listened to 150 podcasts, and I didn't do anything else. So I
Okay.
constantly keep experimenting, because that's what helps me learn new things. So coming back to the fasting,
Yeah.
one thing you don't want to do with me is challenge me to do something and say you cannot do it, because I will figure out a way to do it. So one of my
All
friends
right.
told me,
Mm-hmm.
a good friend of mine, he said he does this 5 day fasting usually at the beginning of the year,
Right.
starting January, so
Mm-hmm.
that he cleanses his system and then wants to
Yeah.
start from scratch. So he told
Okay.
me, I'm going to do a 5 day fasting, but I don't know whether you'll be able to handle it. So by mistake, he said that sentence, and then you don't want to say that to me. So I said, huh, why don't you think I can handle it? Because I never tried it
Mm.
before. It's hard. You know what?
Uh,
Let's do this.
yes.
I decided this on a Saturday, and then on
Uh-huh.
Monday I started my 5 day fast, and I completed it successfully. And
Yeah. Congrats.
and
Congrats.
and I did a lot of research on how to do it properly. And a lot of people say that you get this awakening, and then
Yes.
your life changes and stuff. For me personally, yeah, I didn't have any mental awakening or something like that, but it made me appreciate food. It made me appreciate what goes in my body, and it made
Yeah.
me more
Yeah.
mindful. And
Okay.
since then, I told my friend, you know what? We're going to pair up. We're going to do a 1 day fast every month. And every quarter, we're going to do a 5 day fast. So in 2 weeks, actually, I'm going to do another 5 day fast. And
Okay.
I'll
Great.
update people on that as
Great. Yes. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Raj. And there you have it, folks. Our enlightening and valuable conversation of inspirational nuggets with Raj Subrameyer. Raj, we're now going to give you the opportunity to share your social handles, tell people how they can get your book, how they can make contact with you so that you can speak inspiration and transformation into their lives and help them with their careers and the many other challenges that they may face. So, I'm going to move myself out of the way and give you this minute to promote.
So there are three things you can do for me to support me. One thing is, if you want to know how I impact people, what I do for a living, and why I do what I do, then go to my website, which is rajsubra.com, rajsubra.com. There you'll find all information about me, my story, and what I do. And my book can be found at skyrocketyourcareerbook.com. And there you can download the first chapter for free, because I know that feeling where a person hypes his book, and then when you buy the book, then it's a waste of time. So to prevent that from happening for all of you, you can download the first chapter for free, and you can decide whether you want to buy the book or not. And also, you have a lot of free resources on my book website, and it'll really help to have positive personal life and career transformations. And finally, if you want to connect with me, I pretty much live on LinkedIn, so make sure you follow me, because I post inspirational content every single day on LinkedIn, and I love meeting new people, getting to know their stories. So make sure you connect with me, and yeah, let's discuss, let's talk, and let's become friends and grow our network. So that's pretty much about me.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Raj. That was very good. And we thank you for being our guest on the program as we wrap up this episode of Andy's Personal Development in the Breakout Room live from the Love Bits A channel. We hope that you would continue to proceed to get to the place where you can achieve health, happiness, and prosperity in this life. Don't give up on the dream. Keep on dreaming, keep on believing. But remember, it's a process. You got to put in the work, you got to put in the time, and do whatever is necessary to take you from one stage to the next so that success eventually becomes a reality. Thanks again for your support and your continued commitment to the show, and to Raj for agreeing to come on and to share such valuable stuff with us. Until next time, this is Andy saying so long, Godspeed, Shalom, Namaste. Take care now. Bye for now. Until next time.